is your life, so always be strong. Keep moving on. Your dreams will always come true. You'll get there if you believe. So rise up and be strong. Hold on and take your place. So rise up and be strong. Hold on and take your place. You're listening to Pastor Larry Ajanaku.
Today we'll be looking at the topic planning the short route to success. When we talk in terms of planning, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts so that for the purpose of driving home this message. Number 1, the first one I want to talk about is organizational planning. Organizational planning. What is organization planning? It's what we call a process of how to do the day-to-day running of your life. Note one thing. Anything that introduces disorderliness into your life will reduce your productivity. I'll say this again carefully. I want you to digest it. Anything that reduces your organization will reduce your productivity. I remember some time ago I wanted to go out and I was looking for just one leg of my socks. I found one and I wanted to just look and I kept looking out for it, and I spent a couple of minutes looking for just one leg of the socks, one foot of the socks. And it took so much time. Why? Because where I normally keep it, it's no longer there. Now, why do you think that when you go to the store and you go to Walmart, you go to Superstore, whatsoever, and you can see beverages arranged here, toiletries here, and everything is properly arranged? Why do you think? It's to produce orders, to produce productivity, for you to be able to spend the money as quickly as possible. Then once you go in and you look up, you want to buy, I want to buy groceries, and you just look at toiletries. You know exactly where to go. Make it so easy for you to spend the money. And that's how you can increase their productivity. And that is the truth of the matter. We see anything that introduces disorderliness into your life will reduce your productivity. And note this also. Anyone that is very close to you, that is very disorganized, will also indirectly affect you and reduce your productivity. That is why it is very important in 2018, you have to know the kind of people you are going to coast along as you move. Anyone that is not organized, that is not together, I would advise you, maybe you should just put a distance between yourself. Because you can be very sure such a person is going to reduce your productivity. Such a person is going to reduce your output. And the essence of whatever thing we do in life is to be able to achieve, to be able to get to where we want to get our destination certain as quickly as possible. So we have to look at operational planning. We have to look at our operations. When I talk of operation, I'm talking of yourself, how you run your home. Women are very good at this. They know exactly when to put the reorder level. They know exactly when, whatever they buy, they know when to go for the groceries. They know exactly what they bought, when it's going to run out. Now, when you get into a place and you see people so disorganized, it shows that there is something in the organizational planning. In the home, who does what? And when is it to be done? Organization. Who does what? When is it to be done? Who pays the bill? If you're going to pay the bill, are you going to do an auto debit to your account so that you are very much organized? And when the auto debit is going to hit your account, you're already knowing in you that there must be a provision of a credit waiting for the debit to hit your account. Not that your account is just going into debit every other time and bankers are calling you. No. It shows that there is something that is disorganized. House chairs. Who purchases the groceries? Who packs the snow? When do we place an order for whatever we do? Who washes the dishes? Who picks the children in the crèche? Who pays the school fees, the school bills? Who fuels the car? Who mops the floor? Who cleans the guest washroom? You know, there are times you just go to some people's house and say, oh, I want to use your washroom. And say, oh, please, can you just hold on a bit, and everyone runs into the washroom and the guest washroom and say, oh my goodness, these children have used the washroom. No, no, no. By law, by standard, children, nobody uses the guest washroom, use every other washroom. We are talking of organizational planning. Not how I come to your house and I want to use your washroom. Oh, Pastor, can you just hold on a bit? So I don't know what the children would have gone there. No, no. Organizational planning. We need to put this in place. Now, when you get this right in the organizational planning, you realize that other things begin to fall in place. But once you get it wrong at this grassroots, oh, you get to the office and you're so scrubbled. Oh, you get to the office and somebody is just annoying and say, oh, did you wake up on the other side of the bed? No, you don't need to wake up on the other side of the bed. You just have to wake up on the right side of the bed 24/7. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. Operational planning is very, very important. Day to day. Many times I call it women affairs. You know, women, oh, they can get things fixed. Oh, the kitchen is just, the kitchen is just it's just a place you're going to pass before you get into your living room. And somebody knocks at the door, you go right and pack all the plates and put it out. It's right there. No. It shows that something is wrong. Something is wrong with the organizational planning. And we all have to put this in mind. That in 2018, I have to start from the grassroots. For me to achieve my set goal, the organizational planning must be right. Where do I put my shoes? Where do I put my socks? Where do I put my underwear? Where is the laundry basket? Now, if your laundry basket is to be at this place, if it moves from that place, what happens? Organizational planning. I cannot overflow this. You will achieve your goal. You can achieve your goal if first and foremost you take care of it. Then the second one, which I would want to call tactical planning. Now we are moving a step ahead. Tactical planning simply means your response to the real world. Response to the real world as the condition arises. Your response to the real world. Short term, it is short term in nature. Organization is periodic, continuous. Then, short term nature. Have you ever asked the question, why do people get depressed? Why do people run into depression? Check it very, very well. One major thing that leads to depression is lack of planning. Lack of planning. It looks so simple, but it's that powerful. Short term in nature. Organize yourself. In the case of setback, what plan do I have in place? You have to know that the plan, the graph of life, it's never a straight line. It's always here and there. But when you draw your line of best fit, it must go up. When you draw your line of best fit, it must go up. That's why the scripture says the path of the just is like a shining light that shines brighter and brighter unto a perfect day. This is the worst position you can ever be. But to think of it's going to be so perfectly straight, or no. Listen, it's going to be like this. Maybe one is here, another one is here, another one is here, here. But when you not draw a line of best fit, it must go up, it must go straight up. It goes straight up if you are taking time to plan. It goes straight up this way when you draw a line of best fit, when you take time to plan. But for people who don't plan, bet you, the graph is always like this. Scattered all over. You can't draw a line of best fit. It just goes like that, like that, like that. No. When you have adequate planning, it's always in that way. In case of depression, in case of setback, what do you do? In case of short-term goals, short-term things, what do you do? For example, someone who is well-planned, now it's winter, it's pretty cold. By now, when you get your Echo bill, or Zoom, or whatever you use, you realize that your bill is a bit on the high side when it comes to gas. How many of you noticed that? Yeah, it's gone up. Don't worry, it's not the devil that made it go up. Oh, it's the devil, No, it's not the devil. It's just the time and the season in which you are. And that is one thing that you have to know. There is always time and season for everything in life. There's always time and season for everything in life. So spring and winter, cold and warm will always happen. But it is your ability to be able to put all these things in planning that makes a difference. In business, market could be tough. You know, possibly in business, market could be tough. There are times you have to look at planning again and look at the short term. Okay, what can I do to increase my sale? Maybe I have to drop my margin a little bit. If I drop my margin a little bit, I'm able to push more of my sale. To push more of my sale, maybe I may need to do to do some promotional sales. Maybe I may need to do some incentive to be able to attract people at times like this to be able to push up. All these are called tactical planning. You are tactical about what you are doing. You're not just doing it aimlessly. You are being tactical. Remember, the first one is operational, the second one is the tactical, and then the third one, which is the last thing I want to talk about, is the strategic planning. And this is where I want every one of us to be very, very cautious, to be very intentional about. Please be strategic. Let's be strategic towards 2018. Be very, very strategic. Strategic means long-term or medium-term planning. Long-term or medium-term planning. In nature, be strategic. That reminds me of the story of this man called Nicodemus in the scripture. Nicodemus was just a very, very brief man. I don't want to say short. It's a bit brief, short. And he heard that Jesus Christ was passing by. He wanted to see Jesus. But his ability to see Jesus was being hindered. Because they were taller people. And I tell you sincerely, in life, you'll always meet people who are taller than you. Even when you want to go into business, you'll always see people who are taller than you in business. Because there are some people who, when you look at it, they will actually intimidate you before you start in at all. When you look at their size, and they look at you, and you just breathe heavily, you say, are you trying to come into this? What do you mean you want to do this business? We are here. We'll buy you off. Anything you want to do, there is somebody who is already doing it. And your ability to be strategic is what gives you an entrance into what you want to do. All those big size that you see, they also had people who intimidated them when they were going to start. But they were just very strategic. Making time, making goals. So Nicodemus was just like we were, very short, brief man, and everybody was just, couldn't allow him to see Jesus. You know what Nicodemus did? He started running. He ran ahead of the crowd. He first of all looked at the direction that Jesus Christ was walking by. He looked at the direction he was coming. And then what did he do? He ran ahead of Jesus. Now if anybody had seen Nicodemus, I said, Nicodemus, what are you doing? He said, I want to see Jesus. Oh, you want to see? Then why are you running away? I said, we don't understand what he's doing. Nicodemus ran ahead. And you know what he did? He ran ahead and saw a tree and then climbed the tree. As at the time Jesus Christ was coming, he was ahead of him. He was strategic. If anybody has told Nicodemus run, he said, you want to see Jesus and you are running ahead? And you are climbing a tree? Are you insane? How can you? What are you talking about? He is here. And here you are running ahead and you are climbing a tree. Not only running ahead, but climbing a tree. A sycamore tree. And then he climbed the tree, and what did he do? He sat there on that tree. What was he doing? Waiting for Jesus Christ to pass by. Sorry, Zacchaeus. Thank you. Nicodemus is the one who, John 3:3. Yeah, if you want to give your heart to Christ, you want to be born again. Now, Zacchaeus now said, oh, Zacchaeus, what are you doing here? On the tree. He said, don't worry. He's just being strategic. So he sat down on the tree, relaxed, and allowed the way, the walking with Jesus. So when Jesus Christ began to walk by, what happened? Jesus Christ met him where he was on that tree. And he said, hey, hi, Jesus. I want to see you for a long time, but these tall guys won't allow me to see you. And Jesus Christ looked up and said, oh, Zacchaeus, you are there. Okay, calm down. You've got my attention now. I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to have dinner at your house tonight. Now, what did Zacchaeus do? Zacchaeus was just being strategic. He knew his shortcomings. He knew his limitation. And he was strategic. To me, I would say Zacchaeus deferred his benefits. Many times, we always want our benefits now. It's like a microwave. Oh, come on, put it in the microwave. 5 minutes, I'm done. Hey, planning's not like that. You've got to be intentional. If you want microwave, then the thing is already, you are going to compete with everybody. But when you are ahead, when you are strategic, you move there. You make decisions on allocating your resources towards a goal. You make decisions of allocating your resources towards a goal. Now, you know one thing about stock market. By the grace of God, I have been in the finance world for a while, and I did so a bit of stocks, and I realized one thing, that one major golden rule in buying stocks is don't buy when everybody is buying. When everybody is buying, what's happening to the price? The price is hitting the roof. It's going up because there's so much demand over the few supply, so the price is going up. But people who are strategic will not buy. They will sell when people are buying, and they will buy when people are doing what? Are selling. But when people are selling, the prices are tumbling down. Oh, it's crashing. Oh, that stock, we don't know what is happening to it. Yeah, the fundamentals of the company is very strong. But we just don't know this stock is just coming down. It's just coming down. Maybe there's a huge seller who is selling a huge quantity and is crashing the price. And everybody say, oh, the price is coming down. Everybody dump. Panic sell. Everybody begins to sell. Then the people who understand strategic planning will take time to look at the company, just like Zacchaeus looked at the company. What's wrong with this company? The company is strong. You don't have any room. Maybe it's just a rumor that is flying around. And what do? When the price now hits the bottom, everybody is selling. What do? They are just buying. By the time everybody says, oh, there was nothing wrong with that stock, you know. Oh, we made a mistake, let's go buy it. And then as they are buying, the price is already going up. You are already in the boat. You are already floating, crossing on ahead, and just moving on. And then as you move on, you find yourself. And when it has now reached the peak, and everybody says, oh, let us buy. We want to buy that stock, we want to buy this stock. At that point in time, you say, okay, thank you very much, friends. And what do? Then you just opt out. Why? Because you are very much strategic in your planning. Focus your energy in 2018 on your resources. Strengthen your operations to achieve an outcome and the desired result that you want. Save towards your project. Save towards your project. I'm still going to talk more on that later. Save towards your project, please. Do you want to wed? Do you have a major expenses? Save towards it. Be strategic. There are times you may need to defer some benefits. You may need to put some things on hold. All this has to wait now. Why? Because you are being strategic in what you want to do. Oh, everybody is going on vacation. Yes, I also want to go on vacation to Mexico. Oh, I want to go to Paris. But maybe for the first 3 years, oh, I'm just going to hold on a bit. Why? Because you are strategic. You are deferring your opportunity. You are deferring your opportunity for what you desire. Save towards your project. Save towards your marriage. Towards your major expenses. Save towards it. Be strategic. Work at being an entrepreneur. I cannot overemphasize this. Like I would always say, please, I know everybody cannot be an entrepreneur really, but I would want to encourage, because I have tasted both worlds. I have tasted both worlds. I tell you sincerely, it's good to work for people, but when you're going to work for people, you must have a time when you feel in yourself that I have to opt out and work for myself. You know, I took time some time ago to study great people in the scriptures. People who were really, really well in the Bible. And I've not seen a single person that was on paid job. Job is just above, just over broke. J-O-B, just over broke. The only closest person I saw that was on paid employment was the man called Jacob. And he was on paid employment because he wanted to marry Susie. He was married a babe. And he was told to work for 7 years. He worked for 7 years, and they swapped the lady that he wanted to marry. They swapped it for him in the middle of the night. And then he was told, no, the elder or the younger does not marry before the elder, so you have to work for another 7 years. He had to work for another 7 years for Rachel. So for a single lady, Jacob worked for 14 years. Wow. That's wow. How many guys can do that now?
So much love.
That must be love.
So much love, right?
Man, I don't know if you can do that. I mean, 14 years. I mean, you are talking of a child is giving birth, and the child becomes a teenager before you can get married to the woman. And Jacob had to work for 14 years to get just one babe. You know, now eventually At the point, he said, now I've worked for 14 years. He told his employer, which is Laban, I said, I want to go. And Laban said, no, you can't go. I know that by experience, because you have been with me, God has prospered me. And that talks a lot about who you hang around with. I can't overemphasize that. Who you hang around with matters in your life. Don't play around with your close companionship. Now, there are 3 levels of friendship. Number 1, there's the level of the acquaintance. Number 2 is the level of the casual. And then the third one is intimate. Everybody cannot be your intimate friend. Your intimate friends are people that enter into your room. Even when you're not there, they can enter into your room, open your wardrobe, look at the clothes you have. Those are your intimate friends. They know you in and out. You can undress before them. When I mean undress, you can actually expose everything you want to say about them, and you will not feel ashamed. You can tell them your weaknesses. Those are your intimate friends. Then there is the level of the casual. The casual friends are people who, yeah, they come around, they could stay in your living room, and you chat, you talk, you could discuss soccer, discuss games, talk about your children, but you don't talk so much about intimate things. And then there's the third level, which is the acquaintance. Possibly your neighbors who are just far away. Hi, hello, John. Oh, hello, Jane. How are you? Good. Thank you. Bye. Now, you know the problem with many people is that we take our people who ought to be, what do I call it now? Acquaintance, and then we bring them to become intimate, and then we get our hearts broken. And you say, oh, I'm not going to allow people to come into my life again. Everybody's just fake. No, it's you that are just being foolish. But don't be a fool. You have to know. Before somebody will get into you being an intimate person, he must earn it. It's not given. It is earned. You have to earn it. I'm not talking about relationship today. That's just by design. So, here we see there, Jacob. So when Laban told him, hi Jacob, now just name your price, name your salary. You know what Jacob said? He said, no, I'm not going to collect salary again. Don't pay me again. But what I want us to do now is, any of the sheep that I'm tending, any one of them that comes with spots on their body will be mine. And any one of them that are pure white will be yours. And the man said, oh, fine, good, good. Now, what was he trying to say? He's saying that don't put me on pay salary again. I want to be a shareholder. I want to be a part owner of this business. I want to be a shareholder. And that is what every one of us should achieve. Even when you are working, you must have at the back of your mind to end up being a shareholder one day, sometime down the line. How do you do this? Buy the shares of the company. Buy into it. Buy into it. Somebody is having a business and saying, oh, I have a challenge. He said, come and borrow me money. Look at the business very well. Is it a very good money? Oh, good business. What do? Buy into the business. So we can grow together with the business. You can be very sure when you grow together with a particular business, oh, I bet you, before you know it in a couple of years, you have multiplied yourself multiple ways. So strategic planning, please put that at the back of your mind as you go into 2018.
Take dominion on all God's creations. Never give up. Your destiny's your life. So always be strong. Keep moving on. Your dreams will always come true. You'll get there if you believe. So rise up and be strong. Hold on and take your place. So rise up and be strong. Hold on and take your place. You're listening to Pastor Lanre Ajanaku